one-sided relationship, because there's the short, the short of that. But interesting to think about. Alright, so play tends to affect most of these things. Our motivation, I think, I see this with my kids all the time. They get a small window of video games every day that really motivates them. They really want to play. They're really into it. They want that time. I realize that, if I can almost always leverage that into getting things done. Hey, guys, you have chores done for you. Play games, blah, blah, blah. Usually works out pretty well. Mental attitude. I think this is a huge one, because I feel like our mental attitude can shift dramatically based on play, based on whether or not we're getting the play that we want, whether or not, we're having our expectations met there. And I think that's pretty interesting. I know I have this experience, when I'm planning on doing something, if I'm planning on going to the gym for one reason or another, I can't, something comes up, I deal with it. I deal with okay, cool, this thing came up, I can't do the thing I want to do. I'm bummed out about it. There's no two ways about it. I can move on, obviously, but I was like, man, I really don't like that. I really got my hopes up. I really enjoy, doing those things. I like the social part of it. I like the activities that I'm doing. I like being able to play and have fun. And it absolutely affects my mental attitude. It's self-chosen, as we've talked about before, self-directed. We want autonomy as a people. It comes up later on in class, so I won't harp on it for too long now, but we want autonomy. We want to be self-directed. People want to choose their own path, adventure, etc. And I think that when we try to force people into, conformity and things like that, we get a lot of resistance. We get a lot of people who are not happy. I grew up going to Catholic school, so it's one of those things for me where it's like, okay, well, I wore a uniform every day. I had to get in line a lot, do what I was told. Other kids didn't have to get in line, do what they were told. But I think it's interesting because when you don't have a ton of autonomy in, what you wear and how you look and how you conduct yourself, you kind of want to find it in other places. So it, for me, turned into a lot of, really creative thinking, and it made me something of a disruptive student because I would usually have a lot of questions, and, I wanted to know things. I had individual expressions that I wanted to go around and chat through, which were usually off topic for my instructors. They were never super happy about it. But yeah, it was a thing that I did. Yeah, I don't think uniforms are super fun. They are expensive. I found that as an adult, I tend to wear effectively a uniform. I have the same shorts in 3 different colors, but they're all the exact same shorts, and I just wear one of those pairs of shorts every day, and then I don't know, I've got 20 t-shirts or so, and I just pick a t-shirt, and I have a similar version of this for pants and dress shirts for if I have to be in my office. So I kind of get it. The ease of a uniform is very nice. Not having to think about what you're going to wear every day is very easy. But yeah. Play is definitely an expression of freedom. And like I was talking about earlier, I was talking about play being done for its own sake. It's really got to be about the journey, not the outcome. If we're not having fun along the way, then we're probably not having fun. And if we're not having fun, then, it's like, ugh, what are we doing? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, no, I was at Catholic school. I was in Catholic kindergarten through 8th grade. I was in Catholic 9 years of Catholic school for me. Which that many years of getting in line and wearing a uniform will really
give you a lot of individualistic energy that then that then comes out. So I don't know. It was a weird time. This is how I. It was the only thing that I knew growing up. So it was like this is what you do. You just go to school here. So all right, moving on. Moving on. All right, we're going to talk about play personalities. And play personalities will absolutely come up in the reading. Most of these things come up in the reading at some point. Play personalities will. They also come up in the play personality crest, which is one of the part of the assignment, which I will talk about after this. But yeah, something to think about. So, first and foremost, we have the Joker play personality. And I'm sure everyone knows someone, you know, who is this type of person. You know, they like to be silly. They like to play jokes. They like to smile. They like to see other people smile. Um, you know, I think at varying levels I've been this way. I identify with this. I like joy. I like fun. I like to see people have a good time. I really like to be silly. It's super high on my list of things. For a long time I was like, I'm serious, and I realized like just being serious, it has its moments. There's times when you need to be serious, but realistically, it's more fun to have fun and be silly. You can't do it all the time, but you can do it sometimes, and sometimes it makes things a little more enjoyable. So, when you can be, do. Take on being silly sometimes. It can be a lot of fun. Then we have the explorer, and the explorer play personality can show up in a lot of different ways. I realize very few of us have the resources to just travel the world and see everything and do everything. That's reasonable. I think the explorer can really show up in a lot of different ways. I know when I was, I still do this, so there's not really there's no past tense to it. But I remember when I was learning about, when I started growing plants, and I was mostly growing food plants, things I could eat, and I would go to, different, in Orlando, there's a pretty big Vietnamese population, so there's a lot of Vietnamese markets, and so I'd go to the Vietnamese markets, and I find these fruits that I'd never seen anywhere else. And I would buy them, and I would eat them, and I would plant seeds, and I remember just being like, oh wow, I didn't even know these were a thing. Where did this come from? And it gave me the opportunity to explore, different things, things from other parts of the world that I probably would never have come across if I hadn't been out looking and trying to figure these things out. And it really opened my eyes, and it gave me this insight into the world and into different cultures and into different foods that people eat, and all these things. Like, oh wow, okay, like there's really a lot going on. Um, and yeah, it gave me this interesting opportunity to explore the world, without necessarily having to leave where I was. But I could, a lot of times, now, years and years on, I have contacts in a good amount of other countries. I've some contacts down in Australia. I have a bunch of contacts down in Brazil. And over the years, I've done a lot of import seeds from other countries, and grow fruit trees from other parts of the world. Yeah, it's been really fun. But similarly, I think we can explore the world through Google Maps. There's been times where I'm just like, hey, I wonder what this country is like. What does it look like? Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and you're at Street View. You go, it looks like this. It's cool. These are what the streets look like. This is what the houses and buildings look like. Some of us aren't interested in the real world. Some of us want to explore a fantasy world. So, you get a fancy open world game that allows you to explore a new world, a new map, figure out what that's like, figure out all these places. It can be really cool to go around and explore and figure out different stuff. So we have the kinesthete, and the kinesthete is a person who wants to be in action. They want to be doing something. They want to be actively engaged, physically. Maybe touching something, moving. These are the runners, the gymnasts, time. It's awesome. There, I lose track of time. I don't know how long I've been doing it for. I move through, I do the things, and like nothing else matters. I'm not paying attention. It's like cool, okay, I've moved through this, I've done the thing, and it's really nice for me. I like it a lot. I don't know that everyone who's kinesthetic is the same way. I know when I ran, I used to run a lot. I would think a lot while I was running. It was a nice way to process mentally what was going on. But yeah, different experience for me. Oh no, sorry, fractures, but that's been fun. Yeah, driving is a great way to process. That's what works for you. I think more than anything, it's all just finding out the things that work well for us. Not necessarily doing what other people have done. It's just figuring out what works for us. All right, then we have the competitor, and I'm sure everyone either knows this type of person, or if you are this type of person. I had this experience, uh, over the years, where there were things where I cared a lot about competition-wise. Certain friends of mine I'm very competitive with, and some of them I don't care at all. It's funny because as much as I care about rock climbing, it's not a thing I'm very competitive about. It's just like, hey, I like to do this thing, and if I can do it, great. And if I can't do it, that's okay. And if I can learn from it, I'll try and learn from it. More than anything else. And I think that's an interesting spot. It's a healthy spot for me to be in, where I'm like, cool. I just want to learn, have fun, and enjoy myself. But yeah, some people really want to compete. They really are like, hey, this has got to happen. I got to be the best. I want to see where I measure up. How do I stack up? Who am I better than? Etc. So yeah, counts as a lyrical competitor. All right, interesting. But do you like rap battles? Is am I on the right track? Or songwriting competitions? I feel like you've given us a teaser.
For me, hey everyone. For me, when I say lyrical competitor, I'm a songwriter, yes, and performing artist. But just in the realm of hip hop
Yeah,
alone,
the artists. I think that most of us, at some level, have some artistic abilities, whether they're the classical, drawing, painting, sculpting, etc., or they fall into other categories. We all have some level of artistry, and I think what's really interesting is the different forms that this takes. I don't do a ton of drawing. For a while I did some painting. I did a lot of painting, like like stencil painting, where I go take images and run them through Photoshop and change them, and then make multi-layer stencils and paint them. And I would always disqualify and be like, well, none of this is an original image, so it's not. I didn't really do anything. But I realized, like, that's just anything. Your artistic then we have the director, and so this is a person who is maybe a little more interested in controlling the pieces rather than being out there in front of things. So maybe people who are into coaching or directing or other things. Some people really like this. People really like saying, "Hey, I've got a great vision. Why don't you all go out and execute this for me?" Delegating. I think that this is one that may come and go. Maybe parts of our life we really like this, and other parts of our life we would rather be more involved and less hands off. But yeah, I think there's something to be said. I know when I was a kid, I really liked to set my toys up in scenes. I really liked doing it. I didn't really like playing with them after that, but I just like to set them up in a scene and kind of direct. It's like, okay, well, this is what's happening. This is the narrative. This is the story that's going on here. But yeah, I think that very much falls into that director play personality where we're thinking about things from a narrative perspective or some other perspective, and we've kind of stepped back a couple layers. We have a storyteller, and I think a lot of us probably fall into this. Maybe we're telling stories in the most traditional sense. Maybe we're into creative writing, or we're writing scripts, or doing other things. But a lot of times, we're telling stories in our music or the artwork that we do, or we just enjoy, engaging person to person and telling a story of a situation, of a thing that happened. I think that's an interesting thing. I think almost everyone likes having a good story to tell, or an interesting story. Sunday, I was out in my yard, and I was going looking for some plants, and there was a coyote in my yard. And I live in the suburbs, like I don't live in a rural area at all. But there was a coyote there, and I was just like, well, dang. I chased it out of my yard, and it was fine. It went away. But yeah, it scared the heck out of me, because I was just like, that's not what I expected. And I have small kids and a dog, and the coyote's about the size of the dog. And I'm like, ugh. But yeah, everybody is always interested in, a story, some kind of narrative, trying to figure things out, or explain things, or connect with people. Yeah, Jackson likes to tell stories in music, whether it be through lyrics or songs. I think it's fun. I think people like kind of picking that apart, trying to figure out what the artist is telling them, or what the story is that they're communicating in. Last we have the collector, and the collector is, just what it sounds like. It's somebody who, has gone out and collected different things. Yeah, Tom says I collect rocks and different herb leaves. Yeah, that's very cool. I collect fruit trees, so I get it. I think everyone finds different things that they enjoy, and they, and I think it's fun. I think it's fun to have a collection. It's fun to have something that you're like, hey, these are the things that I really like, and then maybe the work that goes into, developing that collection, or getting added to it, or sharing, or trading. It's one thing that I really like with my collection of plants is that, I can grow a plant and I can propagate it, make more plants, and use those plants to trade with other people who also collect plants, and then, we're all sharing and trading things back and forth. And it makes the world a really fun place to be in. It's like, oh wow, this is really cool. Yeah, plants do tend to make more plants, so yeah, it's really fun, and I enjoy it a great deal. All right, I'm gonna put a pin in this because I want to talk to all of you about our assignments. Okay, there we go. Make everybody good, enable. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you can all see this. It says preview. This is what Fullsail Online will look like for each of you. Cool. So in your getting started section, there is meet your instructor. If you're in my section, you can open it. There's a video. I introduce myself. I have different color hair, which is fun. So check it out if you're in my class and you have it. But if whoever's class you're in, just check out their video. Your instructor will welcome you and tell you a little bit about themselves and a little bit about what we're doing here. Psychology of Play roadmap is helpful. It's kind of like a syllabus. Think about it that way. Troubleshooting and resources, stuff like that. If you're ever getting hung up on things, it's a good way to get connected. If anyone needs help or technical assistance, I just put in the chat. You can contact information for Fullsail online technical support. That is their phone number and their email address. I would recommend saving those if you don't have them already. Tech support is super helpful. They're usually available when your instructor might not be there, or they're able to help you with something that your instructor can't help you with. If you're ever running into an issue and it's close to a deadline and you're going to miss a deadline, I would recommend reaching out to technical support if you're having a problem that's a tech support issue and putting in a ticket with them. They'll usually let your instructor know, hey, this student's having a hard time with this, blah, 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 blah. And then as an instructor, if I see a technical support ticket, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this student was just having this issue and it was late at night. They were trying to get it resolved. It's a lot easier for me to say, okay, cool, well, I'm going to make sure it's out. And so it's one of those things where I'd always recommend touching base with technical support if you're ever having an issue. They are super helpful, and they don't think they're quite 24/7, but they keep very late hours. So, reach out to them. They are there to help.
I came back for them.
So, yeah.
24 hours.
Oh, they are 24 hours. Oh, cool. Okay. We've shifted over the years. There was a time where they had like a small window, maybe from like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. where they weren't available or something. I don't remember, but cool. I'm glad to know that they're open. They're 24 hours. That's awesome. Very cool. So yeah, check those things out. Your professionalism grade is also in here. Your professionalism grade is worth 10% of your grade. Mostly this just means, being a kind, respectful adult. I don't think it's super hard to get 100% professionalism. I would say a couple things. The biggest things I would say is, if you're going to do a presentation or show up on camera, make sure you are fully clothed. People always laugh. They're like, oh, that's a weird thing. But I'm saying it because it's happened more than once with me. So I'm like, oh, okay. Put on clothes. That's not that hard. Yeah, just make sure you're fully clothed. That's it. That's one. And then, kind of think about the language and the way that you conduct yourself, especially in anything that you submit into the class, into the discussion board, things like that. Language that you're using, feels like I shouldn't have to tell people not to use derogatory language, but don't use derogatory language. You will lose professionalism points for that. I always tell people, I say, just treat this class and your experiences here, kind of treat them like these are people that you're going to have to ask to be, character references one day, or they're going to have to refer you for a job. Because I've had people ask me and say, hey, will you write me a letter of recommendation for this thing? And, if you've behaved in a way that was not appropriate, it's much harder for me to write that. So yeah, just something like, I would just encourage everyone to stop and think and say, hey, is this something that I want people to know about me? Is this language that I'm okay, using publicly? Err on the side of caution. I don't think that's something that it's never a thing that I'm like, oh, I didn't think I need to tell people this, but obviously I did. So I tell people. Be professional. After that, we go into week 1. So we're all here in a live lecture. Great job. Everybody came in. Perfect. There's this assignment activity 1.2, call to adventure. It is due Wednesday. So that's tomorrow. So this is week 1 and week 4 have a midweek turn-in. So just keep that in mind. The assignment looks like this, the call to adventure. These are questions that you do not have any previous experience or knowledge of to answer. You can just go through. There's 5 questions. You can just answer them. If you accidentally submit it and you haven't completed them all, you can go and restart the assignment. But it does close on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep that in mind if you don't live in the Eastern Time Zone, that everything at Fullsail does operate in the Eastern Time Zone. So if, that means things might open earlier for you or close earlier for you or later depending on where you are. But just kind of something to keep in mind that everything's operating on Eastern Time. So just kind of check. These questions, they look like this. They're, they 0 experience necessary to complete these. Question 1, welcome to adventure by pursuing your degree of Fullsail. You join a community of learners who are passionate about pursuing their dreams. What is your future industry and what makes you most excited about it? Share what inspires and drives you towards success. The one thing I will say about these, you should have at least 2-sentence answers. Every answer, there's 5 questions, there should be, well, the last one is to post a picture, but 2 sentences minimum. Just keep that in mind. It's in the instructions. It says this. I'm telling you again here. 2 sentences minimum. Seems easy enough, but I remind people and tell people just in case. Sorry, there was a truck that was being loud. It was a UPS truck. But yeah, so that is due tomorrow. Nothing hard. There's no gotcha moment. It's all just questions about general stuff, kind of getting a sense of who you are, what you're doing, etc. The next assignment is the discussion board, and so every week there's a discussion board. The discussion board is in parts. So there's 2 main parts. There are quest activities, which you'll choose 2 of the quests to complete, and then there is a discussion about the quests. So one part is doing the quests, the other part is writing about them. There's a 3rd part where you respond to a peer, but that's kind of what that breakdown looks like. So each week you'll do 2 of the quests. The quests are different week to week, so you'll have a thing where it'll show you what quests they are. In week 1, the very first option is a creative space. It says create an organized workspace that inspires you. The space should include elements that encourage your creativity and bring you joy. Things like photos, arts, instruments, etc. The space can be real or virtual. So this is an example of a virtual space. It's an empty room, boring. Creative workspace, virtual, obviously. Draw it up to here's what I would want my creative space to look like. And before and after pictures. Pretty straightforward. If you're working with your, real space in real time, here's an example: empty desk or empty shelf desk. And they put, all their own creative doodads in there, stuff that they like, and a computer. It's like, okay, cool. That is what they want their workspace to look like. I think everyone, I think it's helpful to have a workspace if you can. I realize it's not in the cards for everyone physically. I realize we don't all have as much space as we'd like. So if that's something you want to do, it's a really good option. before and after photo is the deliverable portion of that. So just take a before and after photo and attach it with your discussion board. That's one quest. The next quest is the weekly plan. So there's a weekly plan template right here. Use the template. The template is different week to week, but the weekly plan is an option each week. It's the only one that's actually we have the same quest is available every week as the weekly plan. Use the template though because it changes from week to week. So the way that this is set up is based on the work, play, fit, push model, where we enter 3 of our daily priorities or work activities. What are the 3 main work or adulting related activities that we have? 3 priorities for the day, 1 play activity for each day. What's one fun thing you can add into your day? Then we have the fit and wellness or wellness and well-being. How are you taking care of yourself each day? What's one thing you're doing that relates to your wellness each day? It doesn't have to be physical wellness. It can be mental, spiritual, emotional wellness, whatever that looks like. If you are, I go to the gym several times a week. With that, other days, maybe I cook healthy meals, I take walks, maybe I engage in a spiritual practice, maybe I, read a self-help book or meditation, whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you. What is something you can do to take care of yourself each day? And then the last section is the push section, and the push section is, if we're asking people, what are you doing that's above and beyond what you're being asked to do for school, work, etc.? How are you pushing yourself to go above and beyond? What are you doing? And a lot of times this is a big overarching goal. Oh, I'm doing this, but also I'm working on, a project I have, an example here is a YouTube channel, or, working on developing a game, or I'm doing language learning, whatever it is, what's something that you can do there? There is an associated reading that is not part of the regular readings, but it's from the time plans right here. You'll read this, and then you'll answer these questions at the bottom. It says, read the time plans chapter 9, answer these 5 questions. When you've completed this, you can fill it all out, save it, and then submit that. That's the deliverable for the weekly plan. So if you like the weekly plan template, take it, do it, it's great. Post it when you're done. Quest number 3 is called Adulting, and it's kind of taking kid activities and bringing them into the adult world. It's the general idea of that, in case the name does not give it away. But it's this thing back to your favorite childhood play memories. Imaginative activities that don't quite exist in the same way for adults, like having pretend tea parties or using sticks as swords. Select one of these nostalgic activities and reimagine it in a fun, adult-appropriate way. For example, a tea party might become going to brunch with your friends, or playing with sticks could evolve into attending a Renaissance fair. It says capture your journey with photos or videos, and then when you're actually submitting, this project says submit a presentation or infographic showcasing both your original play version, include photos, videos of your recreated play, and a written reflection on the benefits of incorporating elements of play into adult life. So that gives you some different, shows you someone's presentation, what that looked like. It's pretty fun. Did I see a hand? I thought there was a hand up at some point. Oh, where can I find this? Yeah, it's in the instructions for 1.5. So if you go click on 1.5, so this is 1.5, scroll down to week 1 quests, and click on that, and that will bring you up to week 1 quests. But all of these, this is the instructions. They're all, it's here, it's up here, it's linked kind of a million places so that people can find it. Weekly plan document, if you're looking for that. This is the PDF of the week 1 quest, so it is shows up in a bunch of different places. Again, we're just really trying to make it super accessible, maybe to a fault, but it's there a few different places. And then the very last quest is the play personality crest. We talked about the play personalities, Joker, Kinesty, etc. Play personalities. It says identify your play personalities and create a crest to represent yourself visually. The project is a digital or hand-drawn crest. The crest must include your play personality or personalities and images to support the play personalities. So pick as many of the play personalities from the readings as you'd like, and then include images, and make sure that you put the name of the play personality, and make a little crest. So it can be digital or hand drawn, however you want to format that is cool with me. Make sure that you're using real play personalities from the list. Every now and then it's clear that someone read this but did not do the reading because they have made up play personalities that are not the reading, and I'm like, you didn't read the reading, did you? So yeah. So those are the four quests. Choose 2 of them to complete. Once you've completed them, we move on to this section. It's called Step 2. This is the written portion of the assignment. So it says, answer the following prompts in 2 separate paragraphs, totaling at least 200 words, so approximately 100 words per paragraph. Label each response as paragraph A and paragraph B. So just make sure you've separated them out, make sure they're 2 separate things. This paragraph A, course concepts and quests, says share your weekly adventure. Please include the following. What's the name of the quest that you chose? So which 2 projects did you complete this week? What are your 2 quests you picked? And then pick 2 concepts from the course concept list below and connect to your quests. 1 concept per quest. Please see the course terms from the bank below for the current week's concepts. Real quick, I'll just scroll down because they're down here where it says week 1 course concepts, SMART goals, time batching, social jet lag, play history, work play fit push framework, etc. I'll say, just because this is maybe a little bit unclear, qualities of play, they're all listed here. Excuse me, but qualities of play is 1 course concept, play personalities is 1 course concept, multiple intelligence theory is 1 course concept. So if you're talking about play personalities and you're talking about the different play personalities they're in, that's great. I hope that you would, if you're talking about it, talk about multiples. But again, it's 1 course concept. So make sure that if you're talking about play personalities, you're also picking another course concept like SMART goals or time batching or qualities of play, as opposed to just picking 1 and then naming some of the, if you pick qualities of play, then you name the qualities of play. Still, qualities of play is just 1 course concept. So make sure that you're discussing at least 2 course concepts. Try and relate them back to the quest that you chose, if that's possible. But we're looking for you to pick the chosen, underline them, however you want to do. Show me which course concepts you're talking about, define them, explain them, show the connection, have each reading concept apply to your quest, connect at least 1 concept to each quest, and provide specific examples from your experience. So just talk to me about that. I made the play personality crest, and it connects back to play personalities. The play personalities are, the ways that we show up and play and how play shows up in my life. And for me, personally, it's that I'm a joker and that I'm a kinesthete and I really like to have a good time and be silly, so on and so forth in that way. And then paragraph B says highlight the fun stuff. What parts of your quest felt playful, creative, or broke your normal routine? Plan your next adventure
Mm.
So answer both of those questions, or each answer these two paragraphs, paragraph A, paragraph B, 100 words each, and then respond to one of your peers. Down here, the response should be a minimum of 75 words and an open-ended question. So, hey, I liked what you wrote. Here are the things I found meaningful, and then ask them an open-ended question at the end of that.
Okay.
And yeah, that is what we're looking for out of the discussion board. I would recommend getting this done by Friday, so that way everyone has it in and then has time to respond to their peers and go on, back and forth talking to one another in the response sections. But it's all absolutely due Sunday. Sunday, 11:59 p.m. It all closes, so make sure you have it done by then. Any questions? Questions about the assignment? Questions about what we've talked about? Yep, if you have a different instructor, that's fine. You're in the right place. Any questions at all? If you don't have questions, that's all that I talked about today. So you're good to go if you don't have questions. If you do, want to stick around, please do. Hey, thanks, Thompson. I appreciate that. It was great having you today. Alright, awesome. Started Discord, that's fun. Yeah, you all have a great day. If you need anything, reach out. I'm here, your instructors are here. We're all here available, so yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always happy to hear from you. Yeah, thanks. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, Thomas, what's up?
Hi, can you?
I sure can.
So, because you said we have different instructors, I also have Laura as well. Will you be doing our next classes next Tuesday, or will that be Laura?
It will not be me. I can tell you who it will be. Not that it's super relevant, but I can tell you because I know this. Let me see.
Okay. Now I'm going to the mother. Hey, look, man. It's Mr. Yayola, man. I just want to thank y'all for, chiming in, tuning in, man. How do you like to play? Have you played recently? Have you had the opportunity to play and just be goofy? Sometimes you just have to let it out, And we all have different play characteristics, So, discover yours and see how it relates to what you like to do now. Live in the mix, man. I told y'all we're taking this to a whole nother level. We're expanding and growing. I thank you for taking part in my journey. We will be showing more production soon, man. We're in the process of moving different places and getting studios. I'm just thankful. I'm so thankful. It's Mr. Yayola. Jake Jeffers, what's going on, man? Shout out to you. You already know. Man, you always rock out with your boy. I just appreciate y'all, man. It's Mr. Yayola, man. Yeah, man. Look, this is how my, you know, let me get that camera right. This is how my, you know. If you haven't already, man, please subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment, and we're gonna get more active, man. It's Mr. Yayo. Hey, man, my bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. I had to answer that phone call, man. They be tweaking. They be tweaking, man, for real. Hey, and if you haven't already, man, go subscribe to Mr. Yayo.